Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Data Dispatch. I hope everybody has had a wonderful day. We are continuing to see Palantir reaccumulate and see actually some buying pressure closing in the green here in a whole overall red day. Even though the market's been relatively resilient, the S&P 500 index is holding the 6,700 line and kind of flipping that to a support line and is holding that relatively well. We do close in the red, taking a little bit of a breather, which is nothing to get too concerned about, in my opinion. But looking at Palantir, we'll be talking about that. On top, we see Ethereum actually taking a breather. We'll talk about how this correlates with BMNR. A lot of people anticipating a bigger move here for quarter four. Is this a shakeout? We'll be talking about my opinion on that. And on top, we have Tesla with an announcement that was a little bit underwhelming, I think, kind of compared to what they were teasing. And ACHR, a more of a speculative stock. If you guys don't know what that is, we'll be talking about that. Currently, it's selling off, and I'll tell you, I talked about yesterday why I wasn't going to chase ACHR in case the partnership wasn't announced, and that's exactly what happened. So we'll be talking about this in any type of potential dip zone. So if you're a new or returning viewer, hit that like button, subscribe for daily videos. We're trying to hit 30,000 by the end of the year. Let's see if we can do it. Thank you guys so much. Pop it up on the screen here. Palantir closes at 182.17. No big news here in terms of, trying to keep it in the green here, looking for catalyst or momentum movers, just trading here in this choppy type of price action here between the 176 and the 183. The cool thing is, Palantir here is at the top of this resistance zone right here at 183. We could get another move here depending on the macroeconomic environment, any type of catalyst for Palantir. This could push it back to 180, 187, 188, getting near these all-time high zones. A retesting there could happen at any moment. If that does occur, if we see a breakthrough there, that's where I think Palantir is possibly going to run to its $200 testing zone, end of the year target. I still have that as a prediction in terms of what I could expect by 2026. Palantir is just very, very resilient. We know it, and the contracts are still continuing to roll out. So nothing big to talk about here rather than Palantir still just kind of staying choppy, but closing in the green in terms of a broader red day is pretty good. Toggle on over here. Talk about stock futures, little change after the S&P 500. It says snaps its 7-day win streak. CNBC talks about, it's like, oh my gosh, S&P snaps its win streak. It's still holding very strong here. At 6,700, this was tested like 3 times today and held support here. So at 67.14, down about 0.4%. A little bit of a breather. Still, the structure on the indices is looking quite well. I'm still very bullish towards the end of the year, especially what we've seen with historical type of seasonality in October, November, and December. Talking about that, one of the big things that kind of spooked the market today was the whole thing with Oracle. You have here information reported that Oracle's margins from the cloud business were weaker than analysts are currently forecasting. And they also talk about here the enterprise software is losing some money on some of its deals to rent out NVDA chips. And Oracle shares, they lost 2.5% as a result. They talk about 2.5%, like that's some big number. I mean, that's just a little bit of a breather. I think that's more of a spook here. In terms of this whole AI bubble, a lot of people are talking about the stock market is currently caught up in this AI bubble, and how do we, talk about back to the 1990s? My own personal opinion, who cares? Who cares if it's in a bubble right now? I'm going to keep continuing to try to get on the upside of that, trade with the upside of the bubble, especially in times of euphoria, these kind of blow off tops. I don't even know if we've hit the blow off top yet. Nobody knows if the price is going to go up or down, but in continuing to see the bullish momentum within the industry, I'm not going to sit on the sidelines anymore. I'll just exit and try to, deleverage and things like that once we do see any type of a reversal after a euphoria type moment. But who cares if it's a bubble? They can keep calling it a bubble because that means, we're still seeing a lot of money and market capitalization that's piling into this industry. So in terms of what the next 5 to 10 years has to offer, it'll be very interesting. Here to stay active during that whole time period. Talking about here, even you have people from SoFi talking about how it feels euphoric, it feels extended, but in reality still thinks that euphoria can get even more euphoric before something actually has the turn. And I kind of agree with that personal statement. Talking about the shutdown here, the government shutdown, nobody really cares about that. Market historically still kind of just tends to do its own thing. So the only thing that we don't get is a lot of the economic data that's in purgatory. They kind of lets the markets kind of behave in their own way. I guess we do have Federal Reserve minutes that will come out tomorrow. We'll see. That's kind of the only piece that we do have. We'll see what the official minutes say from the meeting, talking about here in terms of the decisive September meeting. The market's still pricing in about 2 more interest rate cuts for a total of 50 basis point cuts towards the end of the year. Let's talk about here crypto, as we see Ethereum that actually takes a little bit of a breather today. So Ethereum pops up here. It does decently well holding the support here at 4,500. Tests here up at this 4,700 area. I don't do a lot of technical charting on Ethereum, but what you see, I'm looking more into the whole type of, I want to say, integration of this whole cryptocurrency type of industry into traditional finance. That's what I'm looking at more, the conviction behind the movements that we're seeing, especially politically, that we've seen with the whole Genius Act, Clarity Act, and then you have like the whole crypto bill, or all the things that are happening. You see a little bit of a breather here, coming back down to 4,500. In terms of BMNR, comes down about 6% today. And we talked about this yesterday, that this thing can climb 10%, it can fall 10%. It's a very volatile stock because it's trading, and it's kind of almost levered in a way, trading along with Ethereum. In terms of BMNR right here, holding this 60, we actually see a little bit of a bid in the after hours. BMNR came down to about 58.94, and in the overnight session, we're actually seeing it climb back up to about $60. So taking a little bit of a breather here, that's okay. Personally, I think Ethereum right here at this 4,500, to me, it's more of a shakeout. And that's just because we're not seeing this kind of deeper decline. Historically, we've seen a lot of optimism into the whole cryptocurrency industry within October, November, a lot of seasonality there that does have the bulls, I think, maintaining control. So I think this is more of a little bit of a trap here. A little bit of a shakeout, trying to see who can they shake out before BMNR makes more of a run. I do personally have a position in this, so I do take some bias in there, as I am anticipating hopefully a bullish move to the upsides. But of course, do your own research. Crypto is a very speculative, BMNR is a very speculative asset, so we can see this in a very volatile one, so we could see it flipping many different types of ways. What I'm more bullish on is actually on Tom Lee. I really like Tom Lee, and that's what got me interested in BMNR in the first place. You see here, BitMine now is accumulating Ethereum at a very rapid pace, so the native asset value of BMNR is always continuing to improve, and that's what I really do like behind it. So it now holds 2.8 million Ethereum, valued at about 12.8 billion. Following the acquisition, you can see here of about 180,000 Ethereum just this last week. So in total, with crypto, cash, and all other investments that we've seen with like Orbs and ACO and all that kind of stuff, it's at 13.4 billion here, now representing over 2% of Ethereum supply. We know they want to get to 5%. That's their whole goal, is to get to 5%. The alchemy of 5%, what they call the power of numbers. So they're going to continue to probably keep buying Ethereum at a very rapid pace until they do achieve that. What's going to happen then? I don't really know, but we'll see what happens, and I want to kind of be along the run for that. Talking about ACHR right here, you can see a strong sell-off. Basically, Tesla had a little bit of a sell-off here, came down about $20 today, a little bit of a bid in the overnight session. We had that whole 10/7 announcement. There's a lot of anticipation with the whole thing with Tesla, talking about a possible partnership with ACHR. Oh my gosh, this got rumored like crazy all over X and just all over Reddit and things like that. You can see this bid coming up here from 9 all the way to 13. Tons of volume coming in here, and you see a sell-off in the overnight hours. And I talked about, I don't want to chase this here, because what happens if there wasn't? If there was, of course, this could be a blow-off top, especially because there's a ton of resistance here at that 1350 level. But now, hey, looking at ACHR in terms of if I wanted to maintain more of a bullish perspective, I don't currently have a position, but we'll see where this opens up. And pulling back here, about $1.83, especially in the overnight session, down to about $11.81 right now. ACHR, if it sells off, could get back into this kind of $10 to $9 zone right here. And that would be an interesting spot to really look at ACHR, because there's a lot of consolidation, especially here at the 10 and in the 9s. This stock has consolidated for a while and has built a lot of foundation here in the $8 to $10 range. $9 would be pretty juicy. We'll see if we get it, especially as we've had a lot of testing right here at the 13s. You can see once this is a triple top now. Once this breaks through here, that's where maybe you're going to see a little more action in terms of an actual blow off type of top for ACHR. But nonetheless, I guess we'll see what happens. The actual news of Tesla here is a little underwhelming. The main news here was that we got a cheaper Model 3 and Model Y that came down to about $5,000 less. That's really all it was. I think people were anticipating with the teasers that Tesla was dropping, you know, a lot more bigger announcements. Maybe they do have some more things, but it was just like kind of like, okay. And I think that's why we saw Tesla that sold off about $20. But nonetheless, still remaining kind of bullish in the whole market. What do you guys make of this? Peace out, take care, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow.